Imagine walking through a dealership where nearly every display seems to suggest that bigger means safer, more capable, and ultimately more successful. The vehicles are elevated on platforms, surrounded by images of mountain roads, family adventures, and confident drivers who appear completely in control of their lives. Yet the vast majority of these vehicles will spend almost every day on paved roads, carrying one or two passengers during a routine commute. The interesting question is not whether SUVs are good vehicles, because many of them are, but rather why so many people willingly accept thousands of dollars in additional costs for capabilities they rarely use. This is where the SUV trap begins, not with the vehicle itself, but with the psychology and mathematics behind the purchase. Human beings rarely buy products based purely on utility. We buy stories, identities, and emotions that become attached to those products. An SUV often represents preparedness, security, freedom, and status all at once. Even if someone never plans to drive through deep snow, tow heavy equipment, or travel off-road, owning a vehicle that could perform those tasks creates a feeling of optionality. Behavioral economists call this the value of perceived flexibility, where people consistently pay premiums for possibilities that may never become reality. The emotional benefit is real, but so is the financial cost, and those two forces often move in opposite directions. The mathematics begin long before the first tank of fuel. Larger vehicles generally cost more to manufacture, more to transport, and ultimately more to purchase. A price difference of even $10,000 may not feel overwhelming when stretched across a 6 or 7-year financing agreement because monthly payments disguise the total cost. Instead of asking whether the vehicle costs $40,000 or $50,000, buyers begin asking whether the payment is $50 or $70 higher each month. This subtle shift changes the decision entirely because our brains naturally underestimate long-term commitments when they are presented as small recurring amounts. Depreciation quietly amplifies this effect. New vehicles lose value over time regardless of size, but when the purchase price increases, the number of dollars disappearing through depreciation usually increases as well. Losing 20% on a $30,000 vehicle is very different from losing 20% on a $50,000 one. The percentage may remain identical, but the financial impact grows substantially. This is one of the least visible costs because it never appears as a bill in the mailbox, yet it steadily reduces household wealth year after year. Operating costs create another layer of the equation. SUVs are often heavier than comparable sedans or hatchbacks, requiring more energy to move the same distance. Even modest differences in fuel efficiency become meaningful over several years of driving. Insurance companies frequently calculate premiums based on repair costs, replacement values, and accident data, meaning higher-priced vehicles can carry higher insurance expenses. Larger tires, additional drivetrain components, and increased vehicle weight may also contribute to higher maintenance and replacement costs over the life of the vehicle. None of these expenses seem dramatic in isolation, but together they create a steady financial current that quietly pulls money away from other priorities. This pattern reflects a broader principle in behavioral economics known as lifestyle normalization. Once a higher level of consumption becomes part of everyday life, it quickly feels ordinary rather than exceptional. The larger vehicle becomes the new baseline, and the additional costs fade into the background because they are paid gradually instead of all at once. Meanwhile, the opportunity cost continues growing. Money directed toward financing, fuel, insurance, and maintenance cannot simultaneously be invested, saved for emergencies, or used to reduce debt. These alternatives remain invisible because people naturally compare what they purchased with what they almost purchased, rather than with every other financial opportunity they gave up. History offers many examples of societies embracing larger, more expensive goods during periods of economic optimism. Bigger homes, larger vehicles, and premium consumer products often become symbols of financial confidence. Yet economic history repeatedly shows that wealth is not determined by visible consumption alone. It is shaped by the relationship between income, expenses, and accumulated assets over long periods of time. The people who steadily build financial resilience often make decisions that appear less impressive in the present because they prioritize flexibility over appearance and long-term stability over short-term identity. The SUV trap is therefore not a statement that buying an SUV is always the wrong decision. For some families, occupations, climates, or transportation needs, it may be entirely rational. The trap emerges when the purchase is driven primarily by perception, while the recurring financial consequences receive little attention. Understanding the mathematics behind ownership does not tell you what to buy. It simply reveals the trade-offs more clearly. Once those trade-offs become visible, the decision shifts from reacting to marketing and social expectations toward making a deliberate financial choice based on your actual needs, your long-term goals, and the system you want your money to support.